Hagar was one of the female slaves of Abraham and Sarah. Her story begins quietly, but painfully. She was not the center of the promise. She was not the one with the vision. She was not even given a choice. Hagar was a servant, a foreign woman living in a land that was not her own. Her life was shaped by decisions made around her, not by her. She belonged to Abraham and Sarah, and when waiting grew heavy and hope seemed delayed, Hagar became part of a plan that was never meant to define her. She was seen as useful, but not valued, necessary, but not cherished. And many people today understand that feeling. Hagar became pregnant, and the dynamics around her shifted. Tension filled the home. What should have been a moment of dignity turned into a season of conflict. She was treated harshly, and eventually, Hagar did what many do when life becomes unbearable. She ran. She fled into the wilderness. The desert is a lonely place. It strips away comfort, certainty, and distraction. It's where strength is tested and survival feels fragile. Hagar sat alone, carrying a future she did not ask for, wondering how her life had brought her here. But something remarkable happened in that place of abandonment. God found her, not in the house of promise, but in the wilderness of pain. The angel of the Lord spoke her name. Hagar. This is important. Before God asked her anything, he called her by name. In a world where she felt invisible, God saw her. In a season where she felt forgotten, God remembered her. And Hagar did something extraordinary. She gave God a name. She called him El-Roi, the God who sees me. This was not poetic language. It was survival language. It was the cry of someone who realized that even in her pain, she was not overlooked, that her tears mattered, that her story was not hidden from heaven. God did not shame Hagar for running. He did not ignore her questions. He spoke promise into her fear, and Hagar returned stronger, steadier, carrying a new understanding of who she was and who God is. Years later, Hagar's story reached another breaking point. When Isaac was born, conflict rose again. This time, Hagar and her son Ishmael are sent away released into uncertainty, with limited provisions and no clear future. Once again, she found herself in the wilderness. Once again, survival felt impossible. When the water ran out, Hagar placed her son beneath a bush and walked away. She could not bear to watch him suffer. She lifted her voice and wept. And once again, God heard. Scripture says God heard the cry of the child, and he called out to Hagar. He reminded her of the promise. He strengthened her hands, and he opened her eyes to a well of water that had been there all along. Sometimes, hope is not absent. Sometimes it is simply unseen until God opens our eyes. Hagar's story is a powerful reminder for today's world, for the single parent trying to hold it together, for the immigrant navigating unfamiliar ground, for the woman who feels used and discarded, for the man who feels forgotten after doing everything right, for anyone who feels unseen, unheard, or unremembered. Hagar teaches us that divine intervention often meets us in our lowest moments, not because we are weak, but because God is near to the brokenhearted. Her endurance was not loud. Her faith was not polished. Her strength was not celebrated. Yet God wrote her into history. Hagar reminds us that identity is not defined by how others treat us, but by how God sees us. That even when people forget, God remembers. That even when hope feels exhausted, God still provides. If you are in a season that feels like the wilderness, if you are carrying pain you didn't choose, if you feel invisible in a crowded world, let Hagar's story speak to you. You are seen. You are known. You are not abandoned. The God who met Hagar in the desert is the same God who walks with you now. And even here, especially here, he is still writing your story.